This is long overdue. I am so excited to share that Own Your Choices, Own Your Life will finally be on YouTube. As of September 5th, episodes will be available at the link in the show notes or search Marsha Vanwynsberghe on YouTube. With over 450 episodes available, I invite you to like, subscribe, and watch in video format and listen to our episodes released 3 times a week. Please help me celebrate this. I am so grateful for your continued support, tags, shares, and reviews. Welcome to the Own Your Choices, Own Your Life podcast. I am your host, Marsha Vanwynsberghe. I'm a business coach, speaker, and author of the best-selling book, When She Stopped Asking Why. On this podcast, we will use the tips, tools, and strategies used by myself and our speakers to break through and overcome the challenges in our lives. When we take radical responsibility of our choices, create boundaries, grow our courage, and practice self-care and letting go of what isn't ours to control, we can completely change our stories. When we take full ownership of our stories, we take back our personal power, and this allows us to impact, serve, and support others by showing them that they are not alone and helping them find freedom from their stories. When you own your choices, you truly own your life. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the show. Today we are continuing the deep dive on podcasting. And the last episode was all about what it was like to start the podcast, what that experience was like, and really what the early journey was all about. And now I wanted to share this episode about why we quit too soon, because I actually quit multiple times on this journey. And even as recent as 2021, probably in the fall, I just kept hitting so many walls that I almost let it go. And I'm so grateful that I didn't. But I really wanted to share some of the thoughts and insights that I had about podcasting. Since I have recorded over 550 episodes between the two shows, not including all the shows I've been a guest on, you can say that I've learned some lessons about podcasting and that I love podcasting, because why else would I do this much of it? So this is also in celebration of the fact that Own Your Choices, Own Your Life is officially moving to YouTube. Yeah, we are finally making this happen. And it is also with an incredible rebrand. So I'm so grateful for this journey, and I want to share some pieces with you. So one of the first things is that I mentioned in the last episode, but I started podcasting 5 years ago, but I actually started with Facebook Lives like 7 to 8 years ago. And so when I recognized that I've been in this platform of sharing, speaking, being vulnerable, doing all the things, it didn't just start. You have to go through the messy stages, and it's still messy in its own way. And it's all good. This has been one of the best lessons in letting go of perfectionism. Perfectionism actually means that you're done growing and done learning because you've got it right and you've got it perfect, which we know is not a thing. So when I really understood that definition of it, it was like, wow, I don't actually want to shoot for perfectionism, because then I'm not growing and I'm not changing. And that's not what I'm here to do. The other thing that I wanted to start with is that in the beginning, when you're starting podcasting, right, you don't know who you're talking to. You have no idea. You have no idea who's listening. You see the odd downloads and it's like, is anyone listening? I don't know who that is. And I still don't. As I look at it, it's this piece of trusting yourself and trusting your voice. When I started to see such an increase in downloads, it was a message that it was like, I still don't know who's listening. I can look at the stats. I can look at where it's downloaded. And it is really cool, because there are some countries that I would have never thought this would be downloaded in, but it is. And I love that. And I celebrate that. So we don't know who's listening. We have to keep going, because the message will land where it's meant to land. But the reason why I wanted to call this Why We Quit Too Soon in Podcasting is because I think the most recent stats are 93% of podcast shows don't make it past episode 7 or 8, like 93%. So why is that? I have a whole ton of reasons. I'm sure there's a bazillion others, but I want to share a few of my thoughts. I think one of the first things is that humans, we are so conditioned for fast results. We're so conditioned to like, it's quick, right? It happens. Oh, I want to have the downloads that you have. I want to have the reach. Well, again, episode 441, and you don't have to take this long. Trust me. It's just a learning curve. But we are, as humans, are very much conditioned for quick results. I can send the text. I can transfer the money. I can do things fast. So we believe that all results happen fast. And we really know that that's not true, but that's what we buy into. I also think that we start sometimes for the wrong reasons. It looks easy. It looks fast. It looks like a credibility that, oh, she does it, so I should too. Or somebody says, why don't you have one? And you have to be comfortable and confident enough to say, it's not for me right now. And that's okay. That's completely okay. I encourage you to do your homework first before you start, because it is a lot of work. Like, let's be real for a second. Anything that you create in your life is a lot of work. It is. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be grueling, hard work that does not add up, but it is work. The other question I get so much, so I just want to throw this out there right now. How fast can I make money from podcasting? If that's your goal or intention to start the podcast, I would honestly not even start. I wouldn't start, because it is a piece of my business that I pay money for and I don't make direct money back. Do I make money back in clients? Yes. Reach? Yes. Other pieces of my business? Yes. But it's not a direct equal exchange. And at one point, and I'll take you back to that story, but at one point in 2021, when I was thinking of quitting, I was like, okay, I'm paying for all of this. This is just, why is this so hard? Like all the old stories. And it was actually my husband who said, but isn't it marketing dollars? And I went, you know what? It is. For me, it's marketing dollars. This has allowed me to reach people that I can't reach. And the guests that I've had, the people that I've met, the people who've come into my life, the paid talks that I have received, the book sales. I mean, it's marketing dollars. That's how my brain looks at it. And it is something that I enjoy. You're going to hear me keep coming back to this, because if you don't love it, then don't do it. It's actually that simple. Don't do it if you don't love it. But if money is the reason why you're going after podcasting and doing it, unless you're Joe Rogan or Ed Milet, it's not going to happen immediately. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it is not the reason to jump into podcasting. You want to have that fire in you that you want to share a message. You want to support others and you want to increase your reach. The next is, I think it's lack of confidence in our own voice and message. We get so stuck on this wheel of, I don't do it like she does. She does it really good. She makes it sound so good. Okay, well, we also have somebody who edits. So let's be real for a second. And I have my own unique voice. I say and a lot. I do. And I've been told you need to fix that. I'm actually not overly concerned about it, but thank you for your advice. And it is the piece that have trust and confidence in your own voice and message. I actually visualize when I record a podcast episode, I visualize it releasing out and it's going to land exactly where it needs to. I literally go through this message. It will release and land where it needs to. I don't need to do anything else with it. I need to promote it. I need to share it, but I'm not attached to where it lands. I also think as humans, we fall into too much comparison. I really do. Way too much comparison, myself included. Way too much. It is robbing us, because we are comparing our chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20 or whatever chapter they're on that we don't know. The comparison stops us. It literally stops us. The best thing we can do is compare ourselves to our past self. That's really where it comes from. Comparing my today version to my version of yesterday, of last week, last month, 5 years ago. Do I live and do things differently now? 10,000% I do. And so when I stop and I fall into comparison, I go, no, wait, look at like comparing myself to myself. That's another big piece. So if you are following people who are not expanding you into what is possible, you're probably following the wrong people. If you're following people that make you feel less than and that you're not doing enough, it's going to require you doing work on yourself, your own self-belief, and following people that expand you. There's a big difference. The next thing I think is not being clear in your brand or in your brand message. And I know I didn't do this in the beginning. I had so many people apply for the show, so many. And because I asked, let's be real. I asked anybody want to be on the podcast. And it was like, within no time, I had 50 names. And that's actually not an exaggeration. And so I worked really hard to fit everybody in, but it didn't take long before I was like, you know what? Half of these people don't even match my brand, my message, my story. I probably had 3 or 4 shows over the course of this show that I just couldn't air. I couldn't air because they didn't match the brand message. They were very much in victim mentality, very angry, and that's okay. That's okay. There's no judgment. But I can't release that because it's just not in alignment with the brand and the brand message that I have. That's really important. So now I've got some good systems set up so that I get a lot of different applications. I'm probably taking maybe 50% of what comes across. And it has to be in alignment with somebody who is ready to share their story, ready to be vulnerable. They're not stuck in their story. They're not a victim. And they're open to sharing how they've done it, how they've made that transformation, and what they're doing now as a result of it. Those are the steps for my show anyways. And that's okay. So be clear on what your brand message is. I actually think too, another piece why we stop it is work. I did say that earlier, but being confident in sharing the message and promoting your offers, like promoting your podcasting and what you're doing, your episodes. Like if you're not willing to talk about it and promote it and share it, and you're not convicted in the message of what you're creating and doing, why is anyone else getting on the bandwagon? They're just not. They're just not, because everybody is concerned about themselves and moving their own needle forward. We're just humans. That's what we do. But if you can't speak about it with conviction, then you are going to have a really hard time having anyone else jump on that bandwagon too. Next, I think picking a routine that you can stay committed to, or not picking a routine that you can stay committed to. So again, I've had a lot of people say, oh my God, you have 3 episodes a week? That's crazy. I could never do that. Yeah. And there are times that I'm like, okay, we need a little bit of a pause button, and that's okay. But I didn't start at 3 podcasts a week. I started at 1, and then it stopped and started and stopped and started. And why did it stop and start? Because I kept seeing at that point in 2017, how so many people were doing incredible things with their podcasts. They were big names. They're huge names now. But again, they started before I did. So now they're 7, 8 years into podcasting. And this piece of, I would get stuck in the comparison. I would think it wasn't good enough. And I stopped and I started and I stopped and I started probably 3 or 4 times. And so finally I was like, Marsha, you like this. Who cares how someone else is doing it? You're having downloads. People are listening. You're hearing from people. It's connecting you with people. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And I slowly started to build up from there, because I allowed myself to find the grooves that worked for me. So I have 2 solos a week, 1 interview. My interviews right now, this is the middle of August. They are currently booked out until almost the end of December. That has never happened, ever happened. And we don't want to get caught up in the numbers. Okay. But I want to share the downloads I've had in the month of August so far to date are more than what I had in all of 2020 combined, the entire year. So the downloads now are more than what I had in all of 2020. So that is, and the thing is podcasting, people will come and go. They're going to drop in, just like you probably do with different podcasts. I have some weeks where it's like massive downloads, and the next week it's not as much. And that's okay. We don't want to make them mean anything, but we also do want to celebrate those downloads. And I remember celebrating 10. I remember celebrating 100. I remember celebrating my first 1,000. It might have well been 100,000. And that's the piece of it. Celebrate every single step of the way. And then always checking in. Why am I doing this? Why do I want to do this? Because it does take work. It takes energy. And you have to be doing it for the right reasons, or else it's just going to speak out of alignment, and people are going to hear it and they're going to know it. So the numbers, the downloads, the reach, all of that is important. But think about who do you listen to and why? Who do you actually have on automatic download and why? What is it that they do that speaks to you? I can think of off the top of my head, 5 podcasts that I listen to on a very regular basis. Like I know who has one released on Monday and on Wednesday and on Thursday. I know who has one released on Tuesday. and who has one released on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. And I know who they are, and I listen to them and I tune them in. And that then, I mean, just in case you're curious, because I might as well plug them. I listen to Chris and Lori Harder every week, pretty much every week. I listen to Ed Milet. It's like a dream vision that one day I would have him as a guest. I know that you might be rolling your eyes. That's okay. I love the work that he does. I love the work that he does. So those ones I listen to, faithfully every week. And then I still tap into Lewis Howes, to Jay Shetty, to Gabby Bernstein, because I love the topics that they cover. I love how they expand me. I love how they share a message. I love how they give me ideas and depth and download of how to show up and create change in my own life. So think about, just for yourself, if you want to start a podcast, who do you listen to and why? And what is it that attracts you in that? One of the last things I want to say with this is that one of the reasons people quit too soon is because the expectations are ridiculously high. It's a pass or fail. And then you forget that podcasting is about the listeners. You are making it about you, and it's actually about the listeners. What reason do they have to connect to your show? What are they there to learn? How are you sharing your knowledge? How can you be more vulnerable with them? How can you share parts of yourself? I guarantee you, there are things I've shared on podcast episodes that if I went back and listened, I'd be like, I can't believe I shared that. But I start talking and it comes out. This is the piece. I am open and vulnerable with my podcast audience. That's who gets the most out of me, to be completely honest, and my one-on-one coaching clients and containers. But social media, they get they just graze the surface. But podcasting, I share. And when I say this, we can teach, right? We can teach and share our lessons with others. But I really encourage you to share more in a podcast, like share from your heart, the lessons that you've learned. Learn how to be vulnerable, learn how to be open, learn how to invite them in to take those lessons and learn themselves, because we're human, right? We're all human. We live and breathe by what's in it for me. We do, right? What's in it for me? So give them a reason to tune in, promote your work. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. Do it for the right reasons. Stay the long game. It's an incredible platform. It's not going anywhere. It is not going anywhere. It's only going to continue to expand, and you're not too late to the game. So if you're telling yourself that story, it's a story. It's not true. You're not too late to the game. So I encourage you. I would love to know how this lands for you, because I want to know, are you somebody who started and stopped? And that's okay too. Like I said, I did it 3 or 4 times until this last probably year to year and a half has been the most consistent I have been with my show, and the downloads have been more consistent too. The shares are more consistent because people know to rely on when your information is coming out. Let them learn from you by sharing more of you, your lessons, and the lessons of the people that you are interviewing. So I hope that this lands. I would love to hear your feedback on it. And if you're wanting to start a podcast, like you want to learn how to speak and share your message, reach out. I'd love to cheer you on, honestly. Thank you so much. Remember, go to YouTube, like, subscribe, follow, and share away. I will reshare everything I am tagged in. So thank you so much for being here. I am so grateful for you. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Own Your Choices, Own Your Life podcast. If you love this episode, please submit a rating and review on iTunes, and please share it with someone you think could benefit from hearing this message or this podcast. I love connecting and meeting you, so please screenshot the episode and tag me on social media or Instagram stories at Marsha Van W. And until next time, remember, when you own your choices, you truly own your life.